Welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness podcast. I'm Jill, coach and owner of CSNF. My team and I are here to help you take charge of your fitness and nutrition. In each episode, we'll provide you our best so that you can take your health to the next level. I hope you enjoyed today's episode with our host and coach, Alex Cottingham.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I don't know when you're listening to this. Maybe we're putting you to sleep on this episode. I apologize if we are. I'm Alex, our host of the Coming Strength and Fitness podcast. I hope you're doing well. I have back in the studio the expert, the owner, the one and only Jill Thornton.
Hey guys, expert's a reach, but thank you.
Today we're talking about strength.
My favorite.
Jill, here's my question for you to kind of rock and roll. Do you remember the first time you bought a barbell?
Yes.
And it was like your own barbell?
Yeah.
Describe that feeling.
So I remember it was for my birthday.
Yeah.
And our house had a basement, and Hunter bought me a barbell for my birthday. And I immediately went downstairs and did stuff with it. But it was the best gift I've ever received.
How did you feel? Just so excited.
Seen.
Felt seen.
Because he knows how much I love strength training and weightlifting and barbells, and so it was and I have been gifted more barbells since then. So.
What year was that?
Ryder was probably really little, so probably 2015, 14, 13, 14, 15.
So a handful of years ago.
A decade ago. And then I've gotten a nicer one, an Olympic weightlifting barbell that's just for Oli since then. So
we're talking about strength, and the reason I ask you about a barbell is because that is a piece to the puzzle when it comes to strength.
Sure.
Not only, but it's a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Jill, strength. When people think of strength, there's probably a lot of different things that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking, hey, what is strength? What's the importance of it? How to improve strength? How does strength increase your fitness? If you don't even care about weight, but you want to lose weight or look good or get toned, all that stuff, strength is an important piece of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. Jill, kick us off and talk to us about just the definition or just the image when we think of strength. What should we be thinking about?
Yeah, I think a common misconception about strength is people think of bodybuilders because they correlate strength with muscle.
Okay.
And there is a small correlation there, but strength does not necessarily equal size. So I would like to point that out first. By definition, strength is the capacity to withstand great force or pressure.
Yeah, I think I would piggyback off that and say withstand force or pressure or produce force or pressure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's talking about the load or the force that our muscles are able to exert, right? Jill, when we have strength, what happens? What are some of the benefits that take place?
So many. So I'll just list them out real quick. Starting with bone health. Increasing your cardiovascular health, brain health, lifespan is lengthened. You burn more calories. One of the really cool things about strength training that a lot of people don't understand is that strength training has an extended benefit. So you do, it's quote unquote called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. So it's a really nerdy way of saying your body continues to burn calories at an increased rate following strength training. Basically, the benefits of strength training last a long time because your body continues to burn after you strength train.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay,
so it is very beneficial in fat loss.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why I'm constantly encouraging people to, if they do not have strength training as a part of their fitness routine, it is essential. You have to have it. Not to mention all of the benefit, the bone health, cardiovascular health, lifespan benefits. But sarcopenia is something that people who are, 35, 40 and older have to really think about because as we age, we naturally lose muscle mass.
Yeah.
It's, I think, something like 2% per decade after 40. So we're battling that. We are continuing to try and strength train to make sure that we have enough muscle as we head into age.
Well, Jill, this topic can go a lot of different routes, and one that I want to quickly go down is just the correlation between strength and longevity. Mm-hmm. Like you said, sarcopenia, we're going to lose muscle mass naturally as we age,
yes.
But there's things that we can do to slow that.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, when someone becomes more dependent rather than independent, there is a loss of strength. You can't sit up, you can't take care of yourself, you can't even bend over to do normal daily function.
Correct.
That we're not even talking about, hey, we want you to throw 200 pounds over your head. We're just talking about, hey, we want you to maximize life function. We want you to maximize the ability to do what you want to do from a very base level. Now, when we're talking about health and fitness, losing weight, stuff like that, Jill, why is strength training an essential piece to the puzzle?
Yeah, because when you strength train, there's an adaptation that happens in your body, and your muscle fibers and your muscles increase. Your muscle mass increases, which then benefits the fat loss opportunity. So the more lean mass you can produce, the more fat you can burn. So whenever we're in a state of trying to lose fat, if we're gaining muscle throughout that process, it's going to only benefit and expedite that process.
Interesting. So Jill, let's say someone comes to us and say, hey, I'm really interested in getting stronger. I just don't want to get bulky. I just don't want to get really big like that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So back to the beginning, we said strength does not equal size.
Okay.
For sure. Bulking and getting bulky and what you see bodybuilders do is a sport. And it's very hard to get the amount of muscle mass that you see those people walk around with. Very difficult. You're not going to just get that large coming into the gym and lifting weights.
Yeah, I think there's a myth out there that you touch a barbell and you instantly gain 10 pounds of bulkiness. And I'm you have to train your butt off.
Believe me, I've tried.
Yes, literally. And I do too.
Yeah.
That they think, oh, I'm going to put 10 more pounds in my back squat. My legs are going to get too bulky.
Yeah.
It's probably not the entire picture.
Correct. Yes, correct. Because again, back to the fat burning thing, the more muscle you have, the more fat it burns. So actually you end up getting leaner with the more muscle mass that you have.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite the opposite.
So Jill, how do we increase strength?
Okay, so the main thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of strength is how to get strong. What are the mechanisms that we use in here in CSNF and any strength training protocol to get stronger?
Okay.
And the whole idea and the foundation of strength is progressive overload.
Progressive overload.
It's a very fancy word for what we do in here every day and have done for 10 years. But we're going to kind of deep dive into what that is and how we do it here at CSNF.
Yeah, because that's common language for me and you, but it's probably not common language for the person listening to this because progressive overload, what does that even mean? Talk us through about how that intersects our health and fitness journey, CSNF, how that increases our strength.
Yeah, so basically in order to get stronger, you have to continue to apply load to whatever strength training movement you're doing.
And when you say load, you're basically just meaning weight or resistance.
And it's not just load. There are a lot of different ways that you can overload, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we're basically not doing the same thing with the same weights week over week. That is actually the definition of a plateau.
Interesting.
So if you used the 10-pound dumbbells every week for lunges for 10 weeks, you are not building strength.
Interesting.
Yes. So the definition of progressive overload is just a gradual and trackable increase of stress on the body for adaptation. So you're taking a movement that you want to gain strength with, and you're gradually increasing the stress of that movement on your body, and you're tracking it. So 2 things. Constantly moving the needle one way or another, and I have a lot of different ways we do that here, and tracking what you're doing. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you don't know what load you used the week before or 2 weeks before that, and it's going to be very difficult to know what you need to use today. So we have different platforms here at CSNF that we use to track our weights, that we use to track our percentages and things like that, and that's a very important piece of the overload puzzle.
So Jill, progressive overload, gradually increasing the weight over time.
Yes.
The word that I really want to focus on that you just said is adaptation, because our bodies are phenomenal, that it literally adapts to the stimulus that we put on it. That is the magic in something like strength training. That's the magic behind what we do here, because if we're going to lift 100 pounds today and then we lift 105 next week and then 110 the other way, the following week, our body will adapt to that, which is why, like you said, it's so important to trust the process, trust the programming, that when it says, hey, build up to 85% and stop there, there's a reason for that we're not maxing out and pushing it every single day, because we really are just doing the same thing every day, and we're not constantly increasing that adaptation adaptation.
Correct. Yes.
So,
and actually maxing out every day is not how you get stronger.
No.
Not even close.
No.
So stop doing that.
Okay, keep going. Talk about progressive overload.
So to stimulate growth and change, you have to have progressive overload on your body. So it's not just adding more load. It's different ways to add more stress, okay? Different ways are rest intervals, how long you rest in between sets. Reps, we can change the reps. We can increase and decrease reps. Sets, tempo, and frequency. So load is a way to progressively overload, but you have a lot of other ways that we use here too to overload the system.
So let's quickly break those down. You said rest. Let's say I'm going to do a 5x5 back squat. So maybe instead of resting 2 minutes in between, I rest 1 minute in between.
Correct.
That's a way to increase strength because I'm decreasing the rest, which is mean I'm going to increase the demand or adaptation on my body to be able to lift that certain weight in a shorter rest period.
You nailed it.
You said reps. Okay, instead of 5x5, I'm going to do 5x6.
Yes.
At the same weight.
Correct.
You said sets. I'm going to do 6x5 now rather than 5x5.
Yep.
Tempo. So instead of slowing down, I'm going to explode on the way up. Or on a back squat, I'm going to do a 3-second descent to control it, pause for a second at the bottom, and then explode out of there to control each aspect of that lift.
Yes.
Correct?
And then the final one is frequency.
So instead of back squatting twice a week, I'm going to back squat 3 times a week.
Or once.
Or once a week, depending on, the demand.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to add extra stress to the body for strength training.
That's good.
It's not just load. And you'll see all of those varieties here in our programming. We change the rest, we change the reps and sets, frequency, and tempo all the time. There is a method to the madness, and we are pretty much consistently inside of a progressive overload cycle all year long. We might just focus on different muscle groups and different lifts and different ways of benefiting strength as we go throughout the year.
So, Jill, what do you tell somebody that's like, I haven't PR'd in years. I don't feel like I'm getting any stronger. What's the first thing you're saying?
Well, the first thing that I hear is feel. Do you know? Do you have data? Right? So we really emphasize tracking here. So if you're tracking your lifts and you can, show me some data that you indeed have hit a plateau, then that's a different conversation than I just quote unquote feel this way.
Right.
That is where the importance of tracking and actually having data behind what you're doing is very important.
Jill, what about, I hear this a lot as well, that someone is just timid. They're scared. They're unfamiliar with more of the heavier lifts, the more dynamic lifts. I think it's just a fear of maybe getting hurt, a fear of the unknown. How do we approach that?
We see it a lot. We train people who've never touched a barbell before. I've trained people who've never touched a barbell. It's one of my favorite things about what we do. And I completely understand timidity towards doing something that you've never done before. I mean, I felt that way when I ran a marathon, or when I ride a roller coaster for the first time. So the whole concept of getting hurt with weightlifting, you can absolutely get hurt with weightlifting just like you can running marathons, just like you can doing boot camp. If you're not in a program that understands how to progressively overload and that kind of gives you a format to how to lift weights with proper form and technique plus the progressive overload component, you absolutely can. Going back to the example of maxing out every day, that's not a good idea. That's the quickest path to injury that there is. So, sticking to the format, really, really working on your mechanics and your form in the lifts are very important. And actually those precede any kind of overloading that you'd want to do. You want to first make sure that the form and the mechanics are there as a foundation for the lifts. But I completely understand people's timidity towards weightlifting. I do believe that the benefits far outweigh any fear anybody would have, and that, as long as you can find a coach to teach you how to move properly and safely, then I highly encourage every human on earth to do it, no matter your age.
So, Joe, here is a common scenario I see a lot that I've actually been really intentional having conversations with everyone I see. For example, a standard women's dumbbell snatch weight is 35 pounds. Let's say women A, I'm going to call her Martha.
Okay, Martha. We have a Martha here, but we're not talking about her.
A hypothetical Martha. I'm going to call her Mary Martha. She can do 35-pound snatches.
Okay.
She might be able to do like 5 of them at a relatively normal rate. But very commonly, Mary Martha here will say like, I'm just going to go 25 pounds in the workout. Mm-hmm. Depending on the workout, that might be wise. That might not be as wise. Mm-hmm. I'm a proponent on even if you will go a little slower, you will actually get stronger moving that 35-pound weight because of the progressive overload component to that. Mm-hmm. Jill, what do you tell people who, it could be a snatch, it could be a clean, it could be whatever, that they can do the weight, they can not necessarily do it as fast as everyone else is doing, but they can still do that weight? Should they do that weight in the workout as prescribed?
Gosh, so many of that is dependent on the athlete. So much dependency on the athlete. I like to push the boundaries of strength training more in a controlled and slow type setting like we do in the strength and skill portion of our class every day versus doing it inside of the higher intensity part of the conditioning piece. But if someone is fully capable of moving a 35-pound dumbbell and they just don't because they're more comfortable with the 25-pound dumbbell, I would say give it a go. Yeah. As long as, again, the form and mechanics are there and you don't have some ridiculous backgrounding and things of that nature, why not try it? Yeah. Why not try it? But again, like I like to push the limits of the weightlifting more in a slow and controlled type setting with the strength and the skill that we do beforehand, just to make sure that it's a controlled setting. In the workouts, let's say it's Isabel, like 95-pound snatches for female, 145 for men, 135 for men, 30 reps. If 95 is your max, you have no business doing it 30 times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Also, that's not your max anymore.
That's a good point.
If, 145 is your max, but you've never went for 95 just because I just feel like it's really heavy and I won't be able to go fast enough. Well, you are fully capable of doing 95 pounds. Does that better answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
Got it.
It's hard because a lot of things depend.
So
that's the answer.
On their goal and what they're trying to do and where they are.
Right.
Yes.
But I think many times, not all the time, but many times it's like you said, a comfort thing. Mm-hmm. It's, hey, I can get a sweat and get my heart rate up versus actually pushing this weight component, because a lot of people think, I just want to come in and get out of breath and do the Metcon portion, where they focus on, that's the main part of class. And the strength part of class, when we're actually working on the strength component, is like the secondary part of class, which in reality, they're both important.
They're both very important.
So I just wanted to add that little 2 cents.
I like the example. It's very good.
Jill, why, and I'm just going to be blunt here, why is this style of training, when it comes to strength and when it comes to fitness, why might it be more beneficial than other styles of training when it comes to strength?
So when you are strength training, you have to have the ability to progressively overload, to be able to add load to whatever you're doing. Here, we have an infinite number of plates and loading. You could work up to 5 million pounds if you... Actually, I don't think you could. You could work up to...
500 pounds.
There's no limit to the amount that you could lift here.
Right.
Right? So there is always an opportunity for people to be increasing load. If your home gym only allows your barbell to go up to 65 pounds, then you're capped in the strength arena.
Yeah.
Now, you could do some different variables of reps and sets and tempo and frequency, but you're still going to be capped at those weights. So let's take, for instance, you only have access to up to 35-pound dumbbells. Well, what happens when your strength exceeds that? What are you going to do? So I think we have the ideal setup here in that there is no cap to the amount of load that can be added for overload.
Yeah. That's really good.
So if you're, in an environment where there's only a max of 25-pound dumbbells or 35-pound dumbbells or X number of plates, then you are going to be capped.
Yeah.
At that load. Yeah.
Which honestly is my scenario at my own home gym. I think I can only go up to like 305 pounds, which is a lot of weight.
That's not enough for your strict press.
My one-legged overhead SOTS press.
Pistol.
Where I have to be very intentional when I'm going to go heavy deadlifts or heavy back squats because I'm capped there.
Exactly.
But I also like what you said a little bit earlier, and even before we started recording, that strength does not necessarily equal barbell either. We talked about the different ways, but also we're not just saying, hey, everyone has to clean and jerk or everyone has to snatch. Those are components where we were looking at some of the definitions earlier that we're going to be able to increase our strength and power because those movements are going to apply the most amount of muscle fibers together, that they actually increase the 10 general physical skills the most out of any other movement. But It also can include the raw lifts, which are bench, deadlift, and squat. Also, we can do a lot with dumbbells. We can do a lot with bands. So we can still increase strength with a lot of different components.
And
not
even
necessarily
gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bodyweight gymnastics.
Not just necessarily saying, hey, we're just talking about grabbing a barbell and doing these heavy, crazy things.
I mean, strict pull-ups will really get you strong.
Yes, they will.
Yes.
Yes, they will. Where we're talking, hey, there is more to the madness than just, we just want you to max out every single day and grab a barbell.
Yes.
A lot of old school or not as well educated programs or gyms might approach it that way. But here at CSNF, we're very thought out. We're very smart. We're very methodical and systematic with the way we approach fitness, strength, gymnastics, load, intensity, reps, movements, stuff like that.
So, I mean, one of the things I want to point out, and the thing that I think that is nice about coming here is you don't have to think about it. We're doing the work for you.
Point.
We have the program ready for you. You just come in and execute the program. You don't have to think about, how do I overload this? How do I do this? We've done all the work. You just come in and do it, and you will get stronger if you follow the program. Now, if you're not following the program, if you're not tracking your reps, if you're not tracking your sets, like we offer these free platforms to our members to track with, you might not see the benefits that you could.
Yeah.
But the program is there for sure.
Jills, we're rounding third in this conversation heading home. What's kind of like the last little tidbit or something that we missed about strength that you want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I mean, just to recap, it's gradual, calculated, and trackable, right? So those are the three key components to progressive overload, which is how you get stronger. It's deliberate and calculated. So if you're not currently tracking everything, get on that boat. It's time to. If you have a goal of getting stronger, which there's no reason, back to the very beginning of the podcast, there's no reason not to want to get stronger. The health benefits are there. They're amazing. And one of the things I didn't mention is the confidence that people get as they get stronger.
Yeah, that's good.
Stronger people are harder to kill. They just are. They just are.
That's good.
So,
and I think another bridge I wish I could gap for many people is that they kind of silo strength and then getting fit. That strength athletes are just for, like you said, power athletes, CrossFitters, bodybuilders, where if I just want to get fit and I just want to feel good and I just want to lose a couple pounds over here, they kind of disassociate. I didn't say that word right. Disassociate.
There it is.
There it is. The strength component with the getting fit and losing weight component, where actually one of the best ways to get in shape and lose weight is strength training.
Yes.
Where they work hand in hand. You could do one without the other, but the best way forward is to do both.
Yes. So the best protection for your overall health is cardiovascular plus strength training.
Yes.
That's the best protection for your overall health.
Yes.
In terms of weight loss, if you don't have strength training in your program, you're missing out on a huge piece of weight loss.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Well, Jill, that's all I got for our conversation today.
And you won't get bulky by lifting a barbell. It's very difficult to get bulky. Alex and I can tell you about it. We're not trying to get bulky, but I'd like a little extra. Yeah.
Jill, I've trained hundreds and hundreds of people at this point in my health and fitness career, and I know you have too, and I have never met one person that accidentally got bulky.
It's not going to happen.
They say they don't want to get bulky, and they will not.
And if there is a bulking feeling, it's likely not the weights, it's likely the donuts.
Which I'm not opposed to either. I could love a good donut.
Yes.
Jill, thanks so much for your expertise, your wisdom, your time. Let's go lift a barbell.
I wanted to ask you a quick question.
Oh, wait, we're not done. Jill, ask your question.
I just want to know what some of your maxes are.
No, we're not going to talk about my maxes on these.
What is your max snatch?
Jill, my max snatch is 275 pounds.
Did you start there?
No.
What was your first, do you remember your first snatch, like your first attempt at
I'll pull up the video.
Please do. We need to see that.
It was terrible. It was either 205 or 225.
So what did you do? What happened in between? What?
Lots of patience and practice, but a lot of progressive overload, a lot of strength cycles, lots of 6 weeks. I'm going to do bang, 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 specific percentages, and just slowly, like you said, your body slowly adapts and your body slowly improves. And, 225 turned to 235, it turned 245, turned 255. And I remember when 225, I could barely hit. I would have to warm up and I would have to mobilize for 30 minutes. When I hit 225, it would be amazing. Now, I pretty much could hit it any day, but probably cold.
It takes a lot of time to get strong.
But it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say.
There was an open workout when I first started CrossFit that had a 100-pound snatch in it, and I couldn't do it.
Wow. You could probably do that 50 times right now.
Yes.
Easy.
Maybe not unbroken, but yes, I can definitely do it now. So it's just really good to also look back at, where you started and how far you've come. For sure.
All right, last question, Joe. What's your snatch max?
176.
It's pretty good.
But my world record is 172.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I give you a gold star on that one.
Thank you for that.
Guys, if you have any other questions about strength, please let us know. I hope this was helpful and insightful, and we'll see you in another episode. See you guys.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. I hope today's conversation helped you gain a greater understanding of the mission at CSNF to change lives through fitness and nutrition. Check us out on social media or reach out at comingstrengthandfitness.com. We would love to help you take your health to the next level. We'll see you next time.